Hello. Hi there. Hello, my name is Tim Wilkie, and I am the Barry and Honey Sherman murder suspect. Now, notice how I said suspect, because the Toronto police don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But basically, I was improperly identified, and it's been 8 years since the Barry and Honey Sherman case hasn't been solved because of Toronto police corruption and possibly murder within the Toronto Police Department. So, yeah, I'm just gonna go through what I'm gonna go through what I say is I'm gonna go through what I call the modern take on how to be a superhero in our modern day, and it's gonna be super fucking cringe, but I think it's necessary. I think it's politically necessary. So here's what we're gonna do. Number one, information is a tool as it is a weapon. And because information is the ultimate tool, information as a weapon is probably the best means to win an asymmetric warfare. And that's what a lot of this technology is. Right? If you don't know, the NSO Group, which is an Israeli company, they designed the software called Pegasus. And now every Canadian intelligence agency uses some sort of version of it. The RCMP uses audits. And here's what we're going to talk about. Because if there is Toronto police corruption, you can be sure that the RCMP are going to most likely going to defend the shitty policing industry and their culture. So in a war of asymmetric warfare, right, it's going to be a lot harder for people to get through the algorithm, because these companies are designing it so, certain phrases and words just aren't socially acceptable on the internet. Certain ideologies are not acceptable. But also, you have these fringe right-wing groups who are going to be targeting us, and their culture is synced up and aligned with a lot of this policing. So when police, when they get information about you, they're going to be like, oh no, we got it from a third-party source, and we're going to use it to spread rumors about you and be disingenuous and do a lot of fuck shit. So it's gonna, in this new society, enslavement and demonization of colored people is gonna become systematized. It's gonna become mechanized with this AI technology, right? A lot of this internet infrastructure, not only is it gonna be limited in what you can do and how you use it, but these hacking tools are going to become systematized, so it takes out human choice, right? A lot of these viruses, they're going to make their way around the CAPTCHA, they're going to make their way around the multi-factor identification techniques that would keep you safe, and pretty much, any cellular or digital device is not safe these days. But there is something you can do, right? There's a feature called lockdown mode, if you have an Apple phone, right? And to keep yourself safe, a lot of the times, Pegasus or audits, they'll send you a link on your phone and they could instantly hack your phone. They can get your GPS location. They can get your, they can look through your microphone. They can hear, and see you, right? So don't think that, just because your relatives, the police don't even really need to know that your relatives are doing a crime. They just need to suspect they're doing a crime, right? And therefore, in that essence, they're going to get your information too. So, regardless of what lane you are in the political aisle, whatever your ideology, if we all resist this information from being pilfered, if we all resist the American Patriot Act and the Canadian Information Act, right, which are really just two sides of the same coin, we can use technology, right, legally, because these companies are going to be releasing the software like lockdown mode. Therefore, they're not going to be able to hack your phone through a text message or through a phone call. Your information will be protected. But still, like a lot of these intelligence agencies, because it's their job to work around this software, lockdown mode may not be enough. So you're going to have a VPN still. You're going to have to make sure that your text messages, I think it's like text messages like RGS, or I don't know what kind of text message it is, but it's not the standard text messaging. Because when you have an Apple iPhone, If you text a green box to someone, what that means is you just gave up your cell phone information and data, because the iPhone is not compatible with Android phones. So you want to see that blue text box, right? And you will see it if you're texting between two Apple phones. You will not see it between an Apple phone and an Android phone. But I think you can change something in your settings, I believe, to make sure that you don't have standard messaging. But it's not just lockdown mode, right? You're going to need a VPN. I think a software like Signal is still very hackable, from what I was told. Proton, someone recommended Proton, so I'm using that email. So there's going to be a myriad of things you need to do in order to keep safe, not only from these right-wing fringe white supremacist groups, but also the police and these intelligence agencies that naturally shouldn't fucking have your data. Legally, they should have never had your data. Canada is just a bunch of followers. They've always been the United States' little brother. And in essence, they ran coups in Latin America. They overran a democratically elected country like Haiti. And it's just like if you want to know if white supremacy is real, we have it in our government. The Haitians were democratically elected. It doesn't matter if you think they're fucking gangsters or thugs. That's not your judgment call. That's a bunch of fucking white people. All right, fuck off, Canada. But yeah, it's just, we say that we're global leaders, right, Canada? But Canada is just a global follower. That's all Canada's ever been. Canada's show of strength is just to listen to the United States. So it's a complete joke, right? But using software is the means of this asymmetric warfare, and we should absolutely do it, right? If you're a person of color, conventional morality is not working for us. Therefore, you have to unplug from these devices. You have to unplug while being on the grid, essentially. And lockdown mode, what you should do with lockdown mode specifically, turn your phone off. Why? Because of phantom power, right? The same way Apple and Google are able to get your information through your microphone, it's through phantom power. You tune your phone off, and then later, you said, oh, my phone was off. But then you see a Google advertisement, and you're like, well, how did they get this information? Phantom power, right? But put your phone in lockdown mode and fight against these stingrays, these wiretaps, illegal wiretaps. And that's one way to do it. When your phone is in lockdown mode, it creates a whole bunch of chaos and problems for all types of hackers. That's what you should do, right? It's going to become difficult because it will pull you off the grid, and communicating with average people is going to be very difficult. So your life could become very isolating if you don't find an alternative means to not get hacked, right? But just know that even the Pentagon got hacked by some teenager, right? No cellular device is unhackable, and you need to know that. And people of color need to, we need to design technology of our own. We need to find new systems and new strategies to overcome white supremacy. Because the same people that genocided the fuck out of this country, they never were ejected from power, and therefore the psychopathy only went its way all the way up through the hierarchy, right? Capitalism is a system of exploitation inherently, and therefore white psychopathy was just rife to take over, right? Psychopathy is enabled through capitalism, and that's why we see so much of it in North American society. That's why we see a double standard with these psychopathic cops that are attracted to the job simply because of power and control, right? We see cops going to the job. We see white supremacists entering into policing. Why? Because they're psychopathic and they want power and control. It wouldn't make a difference if it was black people in the power hierarchy that had psychopathy, but that's not the political reality of this country, and it never has been. It's always been white psychopathy that's been basically at the top of the power structure. And now we need to fight back, and we need to eject these white people from power if they say that we live in a multicultural country and that all people should face the consequence of the law equally. If that's what they say, then there's an entire generation of white people whose lives need to be destroyed, right? So technology is the way we do it. If we resist them from getting our information, then everyone from both sides of the political spectrum, or whatever side of the political aisle, All of our data is safe, and then maybe we can mend the political rift. But we have to resist. Number one. Number two, everyone in Toronto has a cell phone. So if you want to challenge policing, pull it out. Whip that thing out. That sounds stupid. I sounded like an Irishman, like a fucking toothless Irishman. Whip that thing out. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. Anyways, that's stupid. Whip it out. Whip out your cell phone. You know, it is what it is. Are you going to use your voice to challenge power? Right? A lot of these tough guys in the streets, whatever. You can say whatever. They can say whatever about you, but they're not challenging the police. There's a lot of gangsters and fake thugs, fake gangsters and fake thugs who would never challenge the police in Toronto, and that's what we see. You want to know what Toronto culture is like? The vast majority of people will not challenge anyone in authority with any real substance or strategy. They will not. Right? It's one thing if you pull your phone out and you watch a homeless person die on the street at the cold. It's another thing if you challenge these police. Right? If you got 5 cops in your face, don't get that cause disturbance charge. Don't get a trespassing, ticket or whatever. If they say cause disturbance or trespassing, you say to these 5 officers, body cam. Then you pull out your cell phone out and you don't pass their little invisible line, their little power trip control trap, right? Don't cross that invisible line. If they say, oh, don't cross that bench, don't cross wherever, just say body cam. What's good? Pull out your cell phone, and then that's what it is, right? Because they don't know. If 5 officers are staring you down, they do not know what's being recorded, and they will not take that chance most of the time. So that's what you need to know, right? Asymmetric warfare, you got to use this technology, and if you do, you got to be secure. But no cellular device is secure naturally. Oh, another thing about lockdown mode. When you turn your phone off, these RCMP officers, these intelligence agencies, cops, they won't be able to get into your phone. So that's another thing. If they put a key fob into your phone, it's going to be a problem because they won't be able to use your passcode and they won't be able to turn your phone on. So tough luck for them. And just so you know, let's go through the history of these intelligence agencies for a minute. Right? The RCMP were born out of the Royal Mounted Police. They were responsible for genociding these native people and putting them in psych wards and putting them in these these awful, terrible situations. They never served for their crimes ever. The Royal Mounted Police became the RCMP. The RCMP became CSIS by 1984. Right? CSIS officers, RCMP, if the Toronto police are using strangulation as a method of murder, you can be sure that that's what they're doing over at the Highway of Tears. Right? If some high-powered individual, politician, if they raped and murdered someone, or if the cops murdered someone, you can best believe that that's the reasoning behind them not uncovering these grave sites. That's why. Right? And you need to know that. CSIS, over in British Columbia, obviously it's the same problem with them too. Right? These fucking, moral people, I believe everyone should have a second chance. But these people in power, no. If you say under oath that you're going to protect this country, then there should be higher consequences. You should face higher penalties. But CSIS, if you need to know, again, born out of the RCMP, born out of the Royal Mounted Police, CSIS was caught trying to smuggle underage minors to the Middle East into a sex trade. So if you need to know who these fucking people are, actually look into them, right? And if they're listening right now, then they need to know. If you don't have liaison officers speaking with the news media, if our politicians don't reform the news to make it more accessible to the public, and if you don't have liaison officers speaking with the news media, then it's just a power grab and we'll never trust you. The Patriot Act never should have happened, right? You never should have had those overreaching powers, ever, right? And if you don't have liaison officers, it's going to be a fight. If it's a fight against the police, these intelligence agencies are no different from policing theory. And they need to know that. There's always going to be a power vacuum, and, We're not having it. Fuck that, right? We will fight against you, right? If you say you believe in democracy, freedom, and truth, then you have to stand by those principles. You are responsible for what you know, right? And it's likely that all these people are getting away with horrendous crimes. So in an age of technology, in an age of AI, this is more relevant than ever, right? I propose that we start a registry of Toronto police officer civilian vehicles. You can take a picture of their license plate, their cop cruisers, but we should also find their civilian vehicles. If they're at a traffic stop doing traffic control, you can best believe they have their civilian vehicles on the sideline, and you should absolutely take a picture of it and start an online registry of these crooked cops. Fuck them. Why those areas? But yeah, that's what I got to say. Again, knowledge is the ultimate weapon. Knowledge is a tool. It's the best tool to use in a war of asymmetric warfare. And people of color, standard morality is not working for us. Therefore, we have to revolt. And this is why, right? It's going to be a little bit more complicated than just lockdown mode or VPN. But let's try to use technology, create technology, and hopefully we can fight back. That's all I got to say. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.